Hello there. So, in this video, we return to the issue of Muhammad's red flags. And right off the bat, before I take a deep dive into the second episode, in which I want to discuss in detail the first revelation of Muhammad, I want to talk to those people that are considering leaving Christianity. You see, you are at liberty to forsake Christ. Nobody is going to hunt after you. You are at liberty to reject the Bible. Nobody is going to chase after your life. However, if the alternative is Islam, what you are considering is Islam, I plead with you, I beg you, in the name of the Lord, the God of the universe, even if you do not accept that the God of Christianity is a true God, but at least you know that there is a living God, there's a supreme being. I plead with you in the name of that supreme being, whoever he is, whatever be his name. Let's assume that he is not the Christian God. Let's assume that he is not Jehovah. Let's assume that he is not Yahweh. But whoever that supreme being is, since you know that there is a supreme being and you are looking, you are searching, you are yearning after him, you want to know the truth, I plead with you, do not take a step into Islam until you go through these episodes. So if you missed the introduction, the link is there in the description box. So in this second episode, I want to start looking in details each of the red flags. I actually outlined 8 red flags, minimum of 8. There are more than that, way more than that. But these 8, in order to make the videos very concise, so I've chosen 8. So in this second episode, I want to be looking at the first of the 8 flags, red flags, which is the first revelation that Muhammad had. So please pay attention very carefully and let's jump into it. So what I want to do now is to take a look at Surah 96, which most Muslims, nearly all Muslims admit, they accept that the first 5 verses of Surah 96, those are the first revelation that Muhammad received. So let's look into that right away. So I will be putting on the screen Surah 96. So here is Surah 96, and I'm going to read the first 5 ayahs of the surah. You can see this is Surah Al-Alaq. Surah Al-Alaq. By the way, I am on Quran.com, so nobody can accuse me that it's a fabricated Quran that I'm using. It's not fabricated. This is something that Muslims all over the world use. Everybody know that this is just a copy, a soft copy of Quran, soft copy of Quran. I guess this should be halves, since majority of Muslims in the world use halves. So let's look at it from ayah 1. Read in the name of your Lord who created. This is Mustafa Katab version. Muslims like to say that there is only one version of the Quran. I don't know who told them that. I just don't understand who told them that. But look at this. You will notice that this is you have very different versions on the screen. Those who like to say there's only one Quran, well, this is English, right? You say, oh, it is not Arabic. It is not Arabic. This is English. The accusation you level against Christians is that they have several versions of the Bible. But those versions are English versions. They are not Hebrew, they're not Greek, and they are not, they are not the original language in which the Bible was revealed. Therefore, whatever yardstick, whatever accusation you level against the Christian scriptures, you say that there are many versions of the Bible. Here you have many versions of the Quran, English to English, right? English in English, English in the Bible, which you criticize. These ones that I'm reading too, they are English Quran. So let's look at Sahih International. Recite in the name of your Lord who created. Uthmani, read with the name of your Lord who created. Which one is it? Is it recite or is it read? And is it in the name of your Lord or is it with the name of your Lord? Are they the same thing? They're not the same. They're not the same. So I'm simply showing you that the Quran is not the same. Okay? I like to put myself on the screen so that you see who is talking. So we are in Usmani. This is Abdul Halim translation. Read in the name of your Lord who created. Recite in the name of your Lord who created. That is Maududi. And this is Pictor. Read in the name of thy Lord who created. This is Yusuf Ali. Proclaim, and you see bracket. Or read. These are not, okay, read in the name of thy Lord and Chericha. Where is Anchericha? Where is that coming from? This is the same Quran. This is one single Quran. That's what you always tell us. The Quran is one. Have you seen one Quran now? Read, recite, in the name of your Lord. Another one says in the name of the Lord, in the name of your Lord and Chericha. Are these all the same? They are not the same words. So for those of you that have been accustomed to only one Quran, now I'm showing you that there are several Qurans. That is not the topic. Let's just move ahead. So I'm just showing that you have different. So let's move to ayah 2. So ayah 1 ends with who created. Okay. By the way, some say createth. Createth and created, they are not the same thing. Like Pictor says createth, which is creates. Let's assume that it is a printer's error. So let's say it's created. Ayah 2. Created humans from a clinging cloth. That is Mustafa Katab. Sahih International. Created man. Humans and man, they are not the same thing. They are not the same words. They are not. Okay, we can say, okay, man, that is just the general word that we use for humans in general. Okay, I accept that. But I'm simply saying they are not the same. They are not the same. The same standard that you use on the Bible, I'm using the same standard on you. Oh, then this one says, he created man from a cloth of blood. This doesn't have blood. This doesn't have blood. This one says clinging substance. This one says a cloth of blood. He created man from a clinging form. This says form. This is, can you see differences? Created man from a cloth of congealed blood. And on another. That's Surah. Let's go to ayah 3. Read, and your Lord is the most generous. Okay, this one says most gracious. Usmani says most gracious. This says most generous. Okay, this one says bountiful one, the most bountiful one, the most generous, the most bounteous, the most bountiful, the most generous. Okay, read, and your Lord is the most. I accept that they have the same meaning, but they don't have the same words. They don't. And the same thing that we tell you in the case of the Bible is that though words are different, yet the same sense they all have. Okay? Ayah 4. Who taught by the pen, who imparted knowledge by means of the pen, who taught by means of the pen, who taught by the pen, who teacheth by the pen, who taught the use of the pen. Can you see this one? You see Yusuf Ali? So what does Allah teach? Is it the pen or the use of the pen? Which one? They are the same thing. You think they are the same? They are not the same. Who has taught the writing by the pen? What did he teach? Did he teach the writing or did he teach knowledge? Which one? Which one? Teach the writing, which is Al-Hilal and Khan. We generally say Hilali Khan. So he taught by the pen, or he taught knowledge by the pen, or he taught the writing by the pen. Which one? Which one is correct? Several translations. And by the way, how many translations here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm using 8. I can load more. These are 8 different translations, 8 different versions. And they say different things sometimes. And this is what But mind you, we're looking at the first revelation of Muhammad. And the last verse, the last ayah of the first revelation, taught humanity by what they knew not. Okay, taught humanity what they knew not. Taught man that which he knew not. He taught man what he did not know. Who taught man what he did not know? Taught man what he did not know. Teacheth. Victor keeps on using present simple. Teacheth man that which he knew not. Taught man that which he knew not. He has taught man that which he knew not. These are the first 5 surahs. In fact, the first revelation. These 5 surahs, they form the first revelation that Muhammad received. Now, from what I have read so far, can anybody make head or tail out of this? Does it make any sense to say this is the first revelation? What has Jibreel revealed here? He has not revealed anything. He has not revealed anything other than to say, read by the name of your Lord, who teaches man what he does not know by the means of the pen. Is that the revelation? It has no message. It has nothing. As you look at some verses, you're going to see that they're actually meaningless. Okay, God teaches by the pen. Is that the only thing by which God teaches? If you want to teach your child, is it by the pen? Can't you teach by oral instruction, by verbal means? You can't teach. So God only teaches by the pen? These things don't make any sense whatsoever. But it gets worse when you go to what they call Asbabul Nazur. Asbabul Nazur, meaning the story behind the revelation. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to jump into the story behind the revelation. As you can see this on the screen, this is a Muslim website. I'm going to take myself off a little so that we can see it very clearly. Okay, so this is a Muslim website. It's actually called qtafsir.com. qtafsir.com contains the tafsir of Ibn Kathir. That's what it contains. The tafsir of Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir is one of the foremost scholars of the Quran. Exegesis, just trying to give the meaning of the Quran. When you read some verses, some ayahs, and you don't understand, go to Ibn Kathir. Another option is to look at Al-Qutubi. Al-Qutubi is another. In fact, the Sunni Muslims believe that Ibn Kathir and Al-Qutubi, they are the 2 most powerful tafsir scholars in Islam. Well, you have tafsir of what's the name of this man? Muhammad's cousin, Ibn Abbas. Okay, you have some others. But Al-Qutubi and tafsir, they are as good as good. So let's see what Al-Qutubi's what I said Al-Qutubi. What Tafsir Ibn Kathir says about these verses. The beginning of the prophethood of Muhammad and the first of the Quran revealed. Have you seen that? So let's read. Imam Ahmad recorded that Aisha said, the first thing that began happening with the messenger of Allah from the revelation was dreams that he would see in his sleep that would come true. So, the first thing that began to happen was that he would see dreams, he would have dreams, and those dreams will be coming through. He would not see any dream except that it will come true, just like the cleanness of daybreak. Okay? He would not, meaning that every dream he had would come through. Then, seclusion became beloved to him. Notice something playing out here, that there are people that believe so much in dreams. And through that, they have been led astray. If you put your confidence, if you put your trust in dreams, there are people that are running here and there. They have had a dream. They want to look for somebody to give them the interpretation. And by that, they generally get deceived by demons, by evil spirits. That was the beginning of the problems of Muhammad. That was the beginning of all the disaster that later happened. So, let's continue. So he used to go to the cave of Hira and devote himself to worship there for a number of nights. Worship what? He was not yet a prophet. Worship what? What was his religion prior to receiving the revelation? So what was he going to worship? The God of the Quraysh, right? Which was not the true God. So since he didn't have God, he didn't know God prior to this time, what was his religion? Was it Judaism? Was it Christianity? Or was it paganism? What was his religion? And this passage says he would go to worship. Worship what? Worship what? And he would bring provisions for that. So he used to take food along. Go to the introduction that I made. I said exactly this, so nobody can accuse me of lying. Then he will return to Khadijah and replenish his provisions for a similar number of nights. Okay, so even nights and days he will remain in the cave, secluded somewhere. And then I don't know what he was worshiping. He will be meditating and worshiping what? Generally, people get led astray when they do this kind of thing. It's just like meditating, just like what they call, this yoga or something like that. If you give yourself to that, you will be led astray. Demons will visit you. Demons will visit you. This continued until the revelation suddenly came to him while he was in the cave Hira. Therefore, we can conclude that he was actually anticipating some visitors, some angelic visitors, or some superhuman visitors to come to him. Okay, he was anticipating that. Therefore, he continued until he felt that something visited him. Okay, let's read that. I'm simply reading what is here. You to read. He continued until the revelation suddenly came. Before now, he used to have a dream, and his dream would come to pass. And because of that, we can conclude that he was thinking that, okay, since my dreams used to come to pass, this is God talking to me. But he didn't know God. He didn't know the true God. He didn't know the true God. So tell me, how will demonic influence not enter when somebody relies on dreams and fancy the dreams and think that my dreams used to come to pass? Some people will then establish churches. It happens in our days. They will establish some religious worship and they'll be leading people astray because they say God is talking to them through dreams. That was what Muhammad did. So they conclude that the angel came to him while he was in the cave and said, read. The messenger of Allah said, I replied, I am not one who reads. Now, all this, I am not the one who reads. You remember that they are not in the Quran that we have read. They are not at all. So these are things that happened as Babul Nazul, stories behind the revelation. That's what we're reading now. And any Muslim, you're welcome to come and say that what I'm saying is not correct. This is believed by virtually all Sunni Muslims all over the world. If you are a Muslim and you are not aware of this, it means that you don't have knowledge. And so you go and sit down. Let those who have knowledge come and talk to us. Then he said, so after the whole thing, Muhammad was narrating all that happened. Okay. Then he said, so the angel seized me and pressed me until I could no longer bear it. Then he released me and said, read. So I replied, I am not one who reads, meaning I am not able to read. So he pressed me a second time until I could no longer bear it. He was suffocating, just as I said in the intro. Then he released me and said, read in the name of your Lord who has created, until he reached the ayah. He kept on pressing him to say, read, until he reached the ayah, that which he knew not. So he returned with them, that is, with the ayah, and with his heart trembling until he came home to Khadijah, and he said, wrap me up. So they wrapped him up until his fear went away. After that, he told Khadijah everything that had happened to him. So you see that I'm not making up anything. I'm not making up anything. This is just what happened according to Muslim sources. This is what I'm going to return to that story very soon. But you see, this is what happened according to Islamic sources. That Muhammad went into a cave, prior to which he used to have dreams that would come true. And because of that, he then separated himself into a cave. He was in seclusion there. And he would spend nights worshiping. Worshiping what? Worshipping what? We don't know who he was worshipping, because it was not Allah, since he had not known Allah before this time. And I don't know, was it the Christian God? Was it the Jewish God? Was it the pagan God of Arab? Possibly the pagan God of Arab, because he was worshipping before the revelation came. All right. So when the being, which was later identified as Jubril, would squeeze him, Muhammad would cry, I can't read, I can't. Then he would say, read. Once again, the question is, which of the prophets ever experienced this? Let's put prophets aside. Did anybody in history experience this kind of treatment by an angel? Go to Luke chapter 1. You have two visitations of angel Gabriel, the real angel Gabriel, one to Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth now? Zechariah, the husband of Elizabeth. Then second, you have another visit to Mary, the mother of Jesus. It was this same angel Gabriel. What did he do? Did he squeeze them? No, he just brought to them good news of what was to follow. And in the case of Zechariah, he doubted. The angel never squeezed him. He only said, well, I am Gabriel that stands in the presence of God, and since you have doubted what I've said, you will be dumb. You will not be able to speak for 9 months throughout the duration, the gestation period of your yet to be born child. Even though Zechariah doubted, the angel never squeezed him. The angel did not squeeze him. So, but look at the case of Muhammad, and let's read more. Okay, so I keep on reading. So he went, and then after he ran to Khadijah, his wife, and was shivering, was trembling, and was saying, please cover me. So they looked for maybe some bed sheet, and they covered him. When he calmed down a little, when his fear went away, tell me, did any angel visit anybody in history and they were behaving like this? No. So after that, he told Khadijah everything that had happened. And he said, I fear that something may happen to me. I fear. This was Muhammad after the so-called angel Gabriel visited him. And Muhammad himself said he feared that something bad may happen to him. It was Khadijah that said, no, don't worry. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. So Khadijah decided to take Muhammad to her cousin, Waraqah. Let's go on with the reading. Khadijah replied, never, by Allah. Imagine, this was before Muhammad brought Islam, and Khadijah was saying, by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. This is either insertions by Muslims or something. So she told him why she thought that God will never allow any bad thing to happen to him. Like, you keep good relations with your relatives, that is, you are kind to your relatives, no fight with anybody. You speak the truth. These are good qualities. You help the poor and the destitute. You serve your guests generously. I mentioned it before, he was generous. These are good qualities, but they have nothing to do with prophethood. Anybody could be generous, anybody could be good, anybody could be nice, anybody could be, anybody could speak the truth. That does not mean that you're a prophet or something. So Khadijah just told Muhammad, oh, you've been a good man. After all, that was why Khadijah decided to marry him in the first instance. He used to be the manager of Khadijah's business, and it was good And so Khadija, 40-year-old woman, decided to marry a 25-year-old young man, Muhammad. And so you help the deserving, calamity-afflicted people, blah, 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 blah. So Khadija then accompanied him to her cousin Waraqah bin Nawfal bin Asad bin Abdul Uzza bin Qusay, who, during the period of ignorance, what is the period of ignorance? The period before Islam came. And yet, Muslims will keep on telling us that all the prophets were Muslims. They were Muslims. So how come that nobody was Muslim before Muhammad came? Nobody was Muslim. The period before Muhammad came was referred to as the period of ignorance. And so Waraqah had become a Christian and used to scribe the scriptures in Arabic. Have you seen this? So Waraqah would be writing the Jewish scriptures, the Christian scriptures, the Bible, to be specific, would be writing that in Arabic. Okay? He would write from the Injil in Hebrew as much as Allah willed for him to write. Okay, so let's go on. He was an old man and had lost his sight. Khadija said to him, "Oh, my cousin, listen to the story of your nephew." Waraqah asked, "Oh, my nephew, what have you seen?" Allah's messenger described. When they say Allah's messenger now, they are speaking. He was not yet a messenger now, but they had to use that language. So they had to use the language. What do we call it now? That they wanted to be using afterwards. So what happened? Waraqah asked, "What's the problem, my nephew?" Referring to the people that came, Khadija and Muhammad. So Waraqah said, "This is an Namus whom Allah has sent to Musa." What is an Namus? What is an Namus? So they're trying to say this is the same messenger, the same angel that Allah. Do you think Waraqah was using Allah? Because at that time, they didn't know Allah. They only knew either Yahweh, the God of the Christians. Since Waraqah had become a Christian, he wasn't the one using Allah. It must be the people that translated this thing. I wish I was young and could live until the time when your people will drive you out. Allah's messenger asked, "Will they drive me out?" Waraqah replied in the affirmative and said, "Anyone who came with something similar to what you have brought was treated with hostility and enmity." Can you believe this? Can you believe this? So after narrating the story, after Muhammad narrated the whole story, Waraqah then said, "Oh, anyone that has this kind of experience, his people usually turn against him." So the question once again is there anybody in history, in the whole of human history, who had this kind of experience and whose people later rejected? Tell just one. So apparently Waraqah himself didn't know what he was talking about. But they used to think that they knew. I'm sure Waraqah never read the Christian scriptures, because there is nothing of such in the Christian scriptures and there is nothing of such in the Jewish scriptures. Maybe in some other apocryphal writings, maybe, but surely not in the writings of the Christians. So let's read ahead. Okay, and if I should remain, Waraqah is still talking, if I should remain alive till that day, where then I would have our family support you. So Waraqah said, "Surely this looks like one of the experiences of the prophets that have gone before you, and your people are going to turn against you because of this experience. And I'm old, but if I were young, I would actually be your disciple when such a time comes." But Waraqah did not remain, meaning that he died. He died, and the revelation paused until Allah's messenger became sad according to what we were told. Okay, so Waraqah died, and due to his grief, he, that is Muhammad, set out a number of times with the intent of throwing himself from the mountain tops. Once again, which prophet in history had this kind of experience? Which prophet had this experience? And this is the foundation of Muhammad's prophethood. The whole story looks so messed up. The whole story looks so suspicious. This is how pagans claim that they have some divine encounter. And people still do it today. And if people have this kind of encounter today and they claim to be prophet or something, will Muslims accept them? If somebody claims that he's having dreams and his dreams are coming to pass, will Muslims accept? If somebody claims that an angel appeared to him and squeezed him and told him this and this, and then he was taken to somebody who interpreted the whole thing and say, oh, you are going to be great, you are a prophet, will Muslims accept? Oh, Muslims are going to say, well, after Muhammad, nobody will come. Who tells you that? Is it not Muhammad who said he was the final messenger? Or they say, no, it's not Muhammad, it's Allah. According to this story, you are seeing that this is fishy. This is fishy. How do you know? How are you so sure that the being that visited Muhammad was a true angel? Give us evidence why you think that the being, the very personality that visited Muhammad, was a true angel from God. That is exactly the point. From all this, just point to something that shows. Is it the words of Waraqah? Is it the words of Khadijah that assure us that what Muhammad saw was true? Muhammad himself never claimed that the thing that appeared to him was an angel, was a holy angel. Muhammad never claimed. It was Khadijah and Waraqah that told him that, oh, don't worry, don't be afraid. Muhammad was afraid. He felt that he had met a demonic personality because he thought a bad thing was going to happen to him. He ran home shivering and asking them to cover him. And it was these people, Khadijah and Waraqah, that calmed him down and assured him that actually it was the true angel of God and he was going to be a prophet. And when Waraqah died, Muhammad, was Waraqah his Lord? Was Waraqah his savior? Why is it that after the death of Waraqah, Muhammad became suicidal? Muhammad wanted to kill himself. Because after Waraqah died, the angel Jubril, in quotes, did not visit Muhammad again after the death of Waraqah. Why? Is that a coincidence? And Muhammad will then go to the mountaintop, you have seen here, and will want to cast himself down in order to destroy himself, to kill himself, just because the angel Jubril was late in coming. However, every time he will reach the peak of a mountain to throw himself from it, Jubril will appear to him and say, oh, Muhammad, you are truly the messenger of God, truly the messenger of Allah. Have you seen all this? Have you seen all this? Isn't this suspicious? Isn't this suspicious? Let's read on. Therefore, his worry will be eased, his soul will be settled, and he will return down from the mountain. Then, when the revelation did not come again for a long time, which revelation came when Jubril said, don't worry, you are a true messenger of Allah? Was that a revelation? No, that was a consolation. It wasn't. Then, when the revelation did not come for a long time, he set out as he had done before. So when he reached the peak of the mountain, Jubril appeared to him again and said to him the same as he had said before. Have you seen this? This hadith has been recorded by the two Sahihs. When they say the two Sahihs, the Sahihain, just as you have the Jalalain, the two Jalals, the Sahihain, the two Sahihs, they're referring to Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. This thing that we have narrated here, I'm not going to go into Sahih al-Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. This, if any Muslim thinks that what I'm saying is not true, then come and confront me, come and challenge, come and refute me. And then we will go to Sahih al-Bukhari, we'll go to Sahih Muslim to go and show. But let's go on. So this hadith, this story, has been recorded by the two Sahihs, the Sahihain, by way of Azuri. We have already discussed this hadith's chain of narration in its text and its meanings as at length in the beginning of our explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari. Therefore, whoever would like to read it, it is researched there, and all praise and blessings are due to Allah. So the first thing, listen, the first thing that was revealed of the Quran were these noble and blessed ayats, these 5 ayahs. They are the first mercy that Allah bestowed upon his servants. Which servants? Is it Muhammad alone or all the servants before him? They are the first mercy. Look at it. First mercy that Allah bestowed upon his servants and his bounty that Allah favored with them. Okay, so this is plural now, with them. These 5 ayahs were the ones that Allah favored upon all his servants before Muhammad or servants after Muhammad. Which one? Which one? So this is actually the story of Surah 96, Ayah 1, Ayah 2, Ayah 3, Ayah 4, Ayah 5. This is the first revelation that Muhammad received. So let me now summarize. So here is the summary of the first revelation that Allah gave to Muhammad. He used to have some dreams. His dreams used to come to pass. And because of that, he sought more intimacy with a God that he had not known. He wasn't a servant of Allah at that time. And he was not a Christian. He was not a Jew. So definitely he was a pagan. But he wanted to know God because he was a good man. He wanted to become religious. So from his dreams, he thought that something should be more than that. He would go for meditation in caves. A particular cave was mentioned, Cave Hira. He would take food there and stay for days and nights. When his food was exhausted, he would come back home to his wife, Khadija, and take more food and return to the cave until he felt that a supernatural being visited him. And he was scared. The being squeezed him, pressed him until he was about to suffocate. And the being kept on saying, read, read. Some translators will say, recite, recite. And Muhammad will say, I cannot read, I cannot read. The being squeezed him more. I say, read in the name of your Lord. Do you think that was by the angel of God? Or by a demon? And then eventually when he released Muhammad, he ran back home to his wife and said, cover me, cover me, cover me. So Khadija covered him. And when his panting, when his heavy breathing subsided, he narrated his experience at the cave. Didn't know, he even said he was going to die. And Khadija said, no, you are not going to die. God forbid, you won't die. You are a good man, you are generous, you are kind, you tell the truth. Why should you die? And then took him to Waraqah, her cousin. And after they narrated the whole story, it was Waraqah that said, wow, this is a beautiful experience. This is the way of the former prophets before you. Which prophets? That's what Waraqah said. This is how God does with all prophets. So you're going to be a great prophet. And I tell you, your people will reject you. And I wish I was alive when that rejection comes to pass. I would become your disciple. I would support you. I'll follow you. And not long after that, a few days after that, Waraqah died. And then Muhammad became sorrowful. Why was he sorrowful? Because the man that interpreted his experience died. And he thought that was the end. So it was actually Waraqah that affirmed him. And that was why he became suicidal. He would go to mountain to cast himself down. And then the same being that appeared to him in the cave would come and say, no, don't kill yourself because I'm late in coming. Oh, you are a prophet. You are a prophet. Don't worry, you are a messenger. That repeated itself, several times. Do you really think this is by God? This is how God calls people into prophethood? Once again, I'm asking, show me one other prophet in history that God, the true God, called into prophethood by the very same means. Show me any prophet in history that was squeezed by Angel Gabriel. Show me anybody in history that was squeezed by Angel Gabriel. Then when you have done that, the discussion continues. So thank you very much. Let me know your comments in the comment section down below. God bless you.